This is a Dark Magazine podcast and video recording, and I'm your host, Nalini Haynes. Today, I'm welcoming Sam and Kostia from Spoonful of Wonder to talk about their PAX award-winning game. Now, before we get started, Dark Magazine acknowledges this recording is taking place on the unceded country of the Bunurong peoples of the Kulin Nation as traditional owners and custodians of this country. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Now, as I said, today I'm talking to a creative duo, Sam and Kostia. They are a Kiwi and a Ukrainian, first-time game makers and full-time creatives who happily hold the titles of innovators, articulators, and mischief-makers. Welcome, Sam and Kostia.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Now, apparently, not everybody has read their PAX Australia blurb. So I'm going to read this out for everybody and you can tell me if this is news to you. Now, PAX Australia says of your game, Copycat by New South Wales Spoonful of Wonder is a beautiful narrative game about rejection, belonging and the meaning of home. The game sees a newly adopted shelter cat become the victim of an elaborate plan when a jealous stray copycat steals her place in the house. The game follows our heroine cat as she searches for a real family and cherishes the human-pet bond. So is that news to you or have you heard that before?
No, it's beautifully written. It's really lovely. I think it does a good job of summarising what we're trying to achieve.
One of my recent guests was saying that I'd written a fantastic blurb and I'm like, no, can't take credit. And their response was, right, well, I'm going to steal that and I'm going to use it because that's fantastic. Okay, so can you tell us about Copycat?
Yeah, Copycat is our baby. It's our project. We've been working on it for a couple of years now, and it's a collection of all our skills put into action. We're just a two-person team and we've been managing to get it work.
Absolutely. And we're learning as we go, as we develop, as Sam said, this very first project. So there's a very steep learning curve, but feels like we're getting there and it's coming together nicely. So we're really excited to share it with the world soon.
Yeah, Copycat is a narrative-driven indie game that explores the varying shades of love that humans have with their pets.
Yes, and a lot of us have rescue cats. I myself have two terrors that were rescued by Canberra Pet Rescue and they came to live with us, 2.5 years ago. Wow, time flies. Okay, so Copycat is a computer game, I think?
Absolutely. We started developing it aiming for PC because it's the easiest platform to release because we have Steam, we have hardware already, and it's what we're developing it on. But we're also planning to release it on console because we want most people to be able to enjoy it. And we think Copycat is a game that aims at this more of a casual gamer audience. It's not going to be 50 hours long, or it does not require you to have like RTX 4090 to play. So we're making it accessible. So we're hoping to release it for PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch moving forward as well.
Yeah, my favorite platform is definitely the Switch. And so curling up with something really warm, you've got your cup of tea and you've got your game, you've got a nice blanket, that's the mood we're going for.
We both are fans of handheld devices, so we've been testing a lot, and we think Copycat is one of those games that are very cozy and feels just great to hold in your hands.
Yes, well, it sounds great and it sounds like it would probably appeal to fans of Animal Crossing and similar games.
Yes, Animal Crossing would probably have similar vibe and wholesomeness to it. We draw a lot of inspiration from other games in similar genres and just from the industry in general. Obviously, lots of people would compare us to Stray because cats. That's quite obvious, but we also go in a bit heavier on the narrative and the story, and we have few little elements of the game. So we call it Stray meets Life is Strange in the universe of Stanley Parable. So that's made probably 3 of our favorite sources of inspiration that come together.
Oh, that sounds great. I love it when you get that kind of nutshell, because I like this, I like this, I like this. This is my jam.
Okay.
So how did you come to develop Copycat? I noticed that you were involved in a mental health initiative during the pandemic. So that seems like an interesting place to start working together, but also you've moved into a completely different area.
Yes, absolutely. So our background before coming into video games was we worked in advertising as a creative team. Kostia is the art director and deals with everything to do with visuals, making it beautiful, making it feel nice with the atmosphere. And my job's the copywriter, so my job was the words and the craft of the words and the idea behind it, and we share the creative direction together.
Yeah, we always had projects on the side, even when we were working in advertising. We always had proactive ideas. We always had little side things. We did some short films together. We did animation. We did kids' books somehow. That happened as well.
So the project that you're probably talking about is called Background Blind Spot, and that was a proactive idea that we put together because we knew people were having a really hard time in lockdown. We wanted people to reach out and connect with one another, and so we did a bit of a social experiment over the course of 7 days. But what's really interesting is the sentiment behind Background Blind Spot also appears in Copycat, because the themes for Copycat, it's about loneliness, it's about belonging, it's about trying to find what is the meaning of home, and help people redefine that.
Which is so important. I think there was a lot of publicity during the early years of the pandemic about lockdowns, and a lot of negative messaging in the media. And yet I think that lockdowns, that kind of social isolation, would not have been nearly as much of a problem if it wasn't for the messaging. And I think programs like the Background Blind Spot can help both draw attention to it, but also help people respond more appropriately.
Yeah, we feel really humbled we were part of that opportunity, and to make something that was a little bit more meaningful in the world of advertising, and now we get to make something meaningful in the world of games.
Yeah, and even if that made a difference for one single person somewhere, that's all we need. Yeah, it's been very rewarding.
That's awesome. I did a little bit of cyber stalking of you guys. I didn't find these other projects that you've worked on, though. Would you like to tell us a bit more about them? Because, I mean, surely they are the building blocks on which Copycat is built.
Absolutely. I guess some of them are still doing short film festival circus, so they're not really available online. Others may have been buried in our portfolios. But yeah, we come from the background, as we mentioned, like advertising background, but also a bit of a filmmaking. So Sam studied in Australian AFTRS, the Australian Film and Television and Radio School. And from there, we started experimenting with short film mediums. So we created few short films with our friends and collaborators, and we made an animation.
Yeah, so the animation's doing its festival circuit at the moment, as Kostia was saying, and we're just really excited to bring all our skills together and put it into Copycat, because again, it's our first indie game. We've never made one before, but with Kostia's background in animation, my background in storytelling, we've tried to make it come together.
I guess we were slowly building towards it, because we both were always passionate about gaming, but we just never thought we had enough skill to actually make a game. and through learning how to do certain elements, like through the storytelling in short film, through making our 3D animation, and even advertising, we slowly accumulated the amount of skill when we thought, we can actually try. Like, it's probably doable. Just a lot of tutorials, and we'll get somewhere.
I am really impressed with what's available online these days. You can learn a second language, you can learn how to create and animate a cat. You can do so much.
Absolutely.
We've also learned how to do accounting, software, lawyer. We've consulted Google for a lot of things. That was also a part of the creative process of making a game.
It's definitely been a journey, because when we started making Copycat, lots of people, like when you read game dev forums on Reddit, lots of people say, when you start working on a game, when it's your first project, do something small, something achievable. Do not make your dream game as your first game, because you likely will never finish it. But knowing ourselves and having a little bit of experience on side projects before, we knew that if we start working on something that we're not passionate about, we're never going to finish it. So the idea was, even if it was going to take us more time than your typical development cycle, we still wanted to make the game we wanted to make. Like, we wanted to make our dream game. So we did a lot of learning. That was the first time I launched Unity, and everything.
It was the first time I've written a game script. I couldn't even find game scripts online, so we had to create a formatting that would work specifically for us.
Yeah,
it was a great, unique experience.
That was an exploration, and lots of YouTube, lots of tutorials. You can find anything online these days. It's amazing.
Yes, and this is your very first game, but you have created, as you said before, you've worked on other projects. I'm just wondering how much the feedback you've received from the other projects has informed this. And to give context, I recently interviewed the guys who made Yum Cha and Boba Master, who are PAX Showcase winners too, and they were saying that they got loads of feedback from Yum Cha. It was everything from including the Chinese characters and Chinese phonetic spelling on the cards. People loved that. So they made sure that it was a feature of Boba Master. And so they've developed two games that are very different. Well, different and similar, I guess, because they said that Yum Cha can be played in the library, Boba Master, no library. So how do you think that your previous projects have fed into Copycat and helped develop your skills, your ideas?
Yeah, Nalini, that's such a great question. I think I like it a lot is because there's some clear parallels that you can take directly from thematic or from creative direction, and so you'll be able to see our skills grow. But ultimately, I think it's the ability to hustle and try to get this project off the ground. So our previous projects taught us what development is, what pre-production is, what production is, and we've had to almost produce the whole game right the way through. So I think from a producing side, that's been one of our biggest learnings that we've taken from the previous game.
Yeah, and from making short films and animations, we learned more of hard skills, if that's the right term, in terms of screenwriting, in terms of animation and creating 3D assets and all these little elements. And also the world of advertising helped a lot in terms of the structure, because when we compare typical ad agency, they're very lean running, kind of well-oiled machines where everything has to match the deadline, where you have to have 50 ideas in order just for one of them to stand. So we learned a lot of our process, I guess, from advertising world, and we learned how to not to get too attached to ideas, because very likely at some point someone would kill them in the advertising world. So we just learn to come up with more and never give up from that.
In the world of literature, they talk about killing your darlings because so often they might not add to the plot.
Absolutely.
So you've actually got this diverse background, and it's almost seems like a natural evolution where you're going. What are you going to do next?
Our focus is getting this project done and giving it all our love and heart and soul into it. But we do have another concept cooking in the background, and you always have that with creative projects. There will always be something else. So as Kostia's, as the script has finished up and we're taking it through production, Kostia's still head down into Copycat, but we're thinking and tinkering with some new concepts. This one's going to be underwater.
Still very early stages, and given we want to keep making games, we hope Copycat will be this little launchpad that will allow us to stay in the industry and kind of fund our next project.
And we've also identified that relationships between humans and animals are really important in our story, so we definitely make sure that carries through as a thematic in the next piece.
That sounds great. Also, I mean, I recently interviewed the dungeon experience guy. I'm not going to try remembering his name because I might get him mixed up with somebody else. But the dungeon experience guy, and he said that he'd worked on a previous game and that helped him get government funding, and it gave him an income stream that he then managed to channel into his next game, the dungeon experience game. So do you kind of hope that you're going to get on that positive treadmill?
Absolutely. That, in terms of getting more experience as well, like I can see so many ways I can improve like Unity side, the programming side workflow moving forward. It's too late and we're too deep in it to start changing and rebuilding things, but starting second project, I have such more like clear vision of what to do and what not to do. And I think you also developed quite a bit of a template and formatting.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more confidence going into the next project. We were really lucky to get Screen Australia funding first up, and because of that, it's enabled us to be able to pay our collaborators and achieve a level of craft that we might have not been able to achieve on our own.
Which is always a challenge. I'm a huge fan of teams because you can build a strength base.
Yeah, and a community.
Yes, community is so important. Now we're just going to segue. For those who are listening to the podcast, you might like to go to darkmatterzine.com/copycat, because we're going to have a video and we're just going to watch the trailer in the video if you're interested.
To be scared, angry, and all alone.
Hey Mum, it's me. The nurse told me you were discharged on the weekend, so don't pretend like you're not at home. I'm just a bit worried about you. Please call me back. Can I tell you a secret?
Hey, what are you doing on the road, little guy?
Hi, Kitty.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry. We can't afford to feed a cat.
Ugh, don't touch that thing, Henry.
The wildcat must pull herself together. Why, you're not scared of heights, are you, Dawn? The wildcat should come up with a plan to get her companion back.
Thanks for not giving up on me. You're all I have left.
Don't back down! What are you doing, Dawn? Get out of the way. The road, Dawn? Watch the road!
Your human needs you. Go home.
There's no magic left in the universe.
Is there anything you'd like to say about the narrative teaser, or what did you call it?
Yeah, it is a narrative teaser and it's been a process for sure. This one was fully edited by Sam, all in-house.
What we want people to take away from the narrative teaser is that there's a big story, but ultimately we're shooting for emotional attachments, and we want people to get really attached to the cat and feel really fulfilled playing this. We want people to finish the game and give their pet a big cuddle or give their partner a big cuddle, because I think it's just connection is so important. And we hope, although we're working on a full trailer that will be ready for PAX, this one is a bit more of a taster, and you could see the light and shade in the world that we developed.
Well, that sounds fantastic. I don't know if you're going to notice it in the finished video, but there was a point in time where I got all distracted because my seeing eye dog came up and she wanted pats and she wanted attention, and now she's lying on the floor, firmly lying on my foot. This is the kind of connection that I love, and it's the kind of connection that in a game I feel is so rewarding too.
It's such a special moment, and I think with the amount of animal surrenders continuing to happen on a daily basis, it's important to remind people that in Australia, even with the rising cost of living, surrendering an animal isn't the best idea, and you should always try to see if there's other ways you can connect or rehome animals.
Yes, we all need to bear that in mind. I'm a firm believer of, you get an animal, you get an animal for life. Even so, I have to say, bit of a segue, when I got my seeing eye dog, the point was made that I should consider surrendering her when she retires and I get a new seeing eye dog. And let me tell you, even before I got her, even before I met her, that wasn't going to happen.
Their family.
Yes, absolutely. And she's got me well and truly under the paw. Okay, well, this podcast is going to air on Monday the 2nd of October, which is, drumroll, a few days before the 10th PAX Australia opens. Would you like to tell us about what you're expecting to do at PAX and any feelings you have about going and being winners and yay?
It's going to be so cathartic and rewarding because we'll have more people be able to play and experience the game. The thing I'm super excited about is just talking to players and seeing how they react and giving them a moment of 10 minutes of peace in amongst the hectic PAX, and so they can really absorb the story and, feel a little bit better about their place in the world.
We're also really excited to meet other developers. There's been so many beautiful games chosen to be presented at PAX. So we are very excited to meet everyone, get to know people, because we've been working together, just two of us, for a couple of years now. So it's about time we actually meet some people and have some little community,
Have some friends.
Yes.
We're really nice, I promise.
Well, that sounds fantastic. It really does. And I'm a firm believer in the importance of community. I think community can really make life, enrich life. Okay, well, I'm really excited for you guys and really excited to see PAX and the 10th PAX. I mean, that is amazing. PAX has come a long way from the first weekend. I didn't actually attend the first one. I went to the second one, but I know people who went to the first one. PAX has come such a long way, and I'm sure it's going to be such an exciting and exhausting long weekend.
They're looking forward to it.
Yes, sorry, my dog's just come and she's just come and head-butted me and told me she needs another pat. Well, thank you to today's guests, Sam and Kostia from Spoonful of Wonder.
Thank you so much for having us. We had a great time chatting, and we're looking forward to seeing you in person soon.
I look forward to it too. And you too, Sam.
Thank you.
This was a Dark Magazine podcast, and I'm your host, Nalini Haynes. Thank you for listening. Stay safe and have fun.